Hello there folks, it is TIJ and welcome to a Football Manager 2019 team guide, and today it's the turn of Chelsea, a team which you have to say their form fluctuates year on year. They have won 2 of the last 4 Premier Leagues, but in the other 2 years they haven't finished inside the Champions League. This year they're in the Europa League under new management of Maurizio Sarri after Antonio Conte was sacked after not the best season last campaign after winning the league in his first season, but still a very good squad, and I'd say the third of 3 competitors for the league title this year. Now, Chelsea is a very good squad, I'd have to say dominated by one man who is potentially leaving the club in the near future, Eden Hazard. He's worth 80 million in game, and he's got 4.5 stars in terms of his excellent rating for senior team. An interesting one is that there's no interest from Real Madrid in game, but obviously in real life apparently there's some real big interest from Real Madrid, but possibly throughout the seasons that you play with Chelsea, Hazard will come under very close scrutiny from these teams, and potentially you'll get an offer very, very soon. So we might look at how to replace Hazard, but on the whole, Chelsea have got a very good squad. If we look at their transfers over the summer, they bought in Jorginho from Napoli and Azarabalaga from Athletic Bilbao as a direct replacement for, where is he now? What's his name? I can't remember what his blooming name is. Transfer, where is it? Transfer, what's his name? I can't remember what his name is. Thibaut Courtois, that's the one. He's gone to Real Madrid. So Azarabalaga come in for 72 million as a replacement. A commanding goalkeeper, a first team player, and could still improve. So again, it's a very good squad with a few maybe points of issue. We've got the strikers, which isn't the greatest. Batshuayi is out on loan at Valencia. Giroud's 31 and he's definitely useful, but Morata is one that you're going to have to get scoring, or else you're going to be really struggling unless you buy a new striker. But if we look at dynamics, in terms of the hierarchy, you've got the 3 defenders who are team leaders. You've got Luis Azpilicueta and Gary Cahill. The only worrying bit there for me is that Cahill is very much near the end of his career. Cahill is now 32. He's only worth 6 million. And potentially you might look to get rid of Cahill in the next few years. And that might upset me a little bit, so I'd have to gloss that one over a little bit and maybe get rid of him at the end of his contract, which is the end, in fact, of this year. Which is an interesting one. Potentially, if you don't play Cahill that much, you might look to get rid of him at the end of the season. But you've got a lot of highly influential players that have been at the club a while. Pedro, Fabregas, Willian, Hazard, Kante, and Marcus Alonso. Actually, Kante hasn't been there so long. Hazard, Willian. Hazard and Willian are the players that have been there the longest, really, out of those players. But I'd have to say Hazard is the most influential because he is a bloody good player, he's Hazard. Possibly the best player in the Premier League. And he's had 69 goals for Chelsea, and I'm sure he'll add to that in the near future. Apparently, it's a good spread of leading and influential players. And you've got the likes of Azpilicueta, who is reaching the peak of his career. So that's very exciting there. You've got a big social group in terms of its core. You've got Kovacic, Jorginho's okay, but weirdly, you've got a secondary social group with the 2 Frenchmen, Kante and Giroud. Well, that change over time. There's not really too much to look into that in terms of the social groups. They will change over time. But the dynamics look fairly easy to handle as long as you handle the, I'd say, imminent departure of Gary Cahill fairly well. Looking at training then, I haven't really looked at training so far because I've only just got the game and don't really get training myself. But if we look in terms of the work rate of players, because that's going to be very important when it comes to training, just see how hard they'll work and how much they'll potentially moan. Some of the players, I mean, you're alright with Batshuayi, but surprisingly, Eden Hazard, Christensen and Barkley are all quite poor in terms of their work rate when it comes to training. So you might have to crack the whip with those players a little bit. You might say to the likes of Hazard, it might be a risk, but if he's not cracking the whip in training, you might have to criticise his conduct and say, look, you're not training very well and we might be dropping you. So that might give them a kick up the backside to do better in training, because training is very, very important this year. It's not so much clicking a button and saying, right, you're doing fitness training this year. It's so much more specific, and the team's really got to be working as a team to make performance the best. But if you look at players in terms of Kante's a fantastic player, isn't he? But Willian, Azpilicueta, Moses, Giroud, Cahill, you've got nothing to worry about in terms of those players when it comes to training. So in terms of the tactics, I believe I might be completely parking up the wrong tree here, but I think that Sarri plays a vertical tiki-taka. And actually, I think it works quite well. Chelsea have played a 3 at the back for quite a while with Luiz, Christensen and Rudiger. Cahill would be the 4th choice, fairly obviously there, with Kurt Zouma out on loan. We've also got Zabacosta and Marcus Alonso on those right and left back positions. You can play Azpilicueta anywhere if you wanted to put him into the system. Again, Azpilicueta could play in the middle. He could play as a right back. Actually, no, he can't. Can he play as a left back? Okay, that's interesting. Azpilicueta is more of a centre back then now. There we go. He's more of a centre-back. He doesn't like playing as a wing-back. That's probably why. So this formation might not suit Azpilicueta, as he much prefers playing back as a proper full-back. But I think a wing-back does suit the Chelsea formation, albeit I absolutely hate wing-backs. But that 5-man defence is very solid with Azpilicueta at the back. We've gone with the normal style of a vertical tiki-taka, just altering some of the player roles just to make some players a little bit happier, I suppose. In midfield, we've got N'Golo Kante playing as a Carvalho and Fabregas playing as well. But you've got a few more options in that midfield. You've got Jorginho's just joined the club, but you've also got Drinkwater, Barkley, Loftus-Cheek, and even Marco van Ginkel, who's just come back off loan from PSV. See what you can do with him, because he played very well in the Eredivisie. If I pronounce that right, that'd be an absolute godsend. But he's done very well. 14 goals in the last season for PSV. So he might be worth playing perhaps as a midfielder, or even, if you were feeling fancy, you might play him as an attacking midfielder, perhaps in the expense of a defender, and putting them up in the central midfield position. But you'll have to see how that works out. But the three up front, we've got Morata, Hazard and Pedro. Now, I was erring towards a bit of a free up front and then going with a man up front, but it just didn't work. So Hazard, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, Hazard, well, it only didn't work because Hazard didn't like playing in the middle, and Hazard's your influential player when it comes to this squad. So he's on the left as an inside forward on support, and it kind of works, I'd say, quite well with that front three, Pedro, Hazard and Morata, and you've also got the choice of Giroud, who can play there as well, and you've also got Moses, who can play, you've got Willian, who can play as well. And at the back, I didn't actually mention him. You've got Emerson, who can play at right or left back as well. And of course, you've got Gary Cahill, who can play in the middle. So that's all that. But the squad does have a few lack of depth places. Now, in particular, I think you've got a lack of depth up front. You've got Morata and you've got Giroud. That's about it when it comes to natural centre forward. So I would say that you need to sign a new central forward, because I think that you might look to get rid of Morata if he has another lacklustre season for Chelsea again. And the player I've picked out for them to sign potentially, and I might be barking up the wrong tree completely here, if you can actually get onto the shortlist, is Anthony Martial. Now this is an interesting one. He's a young player, is Martial. He fits in with some of the French players at the squad, and because he's not very happy at United, potentially he could A, be put on the transfer list, or B, go for a fairly low fee. I mean, money's something that Chelsea don't tend to really worry about, and Arsenal are in the bidding for him as well. Again, perhaps Mourinho might not want to let him go cheap. Yeah, 165 million they're asking for. But potentially coming to later into the save. Again, his contract runs out at the end of this season, so they might try to A, offload him quite early, or B, they might be getting to the trap that you might be able to actually get him for free. That'd be very good if you can get it for free. And if you do get Martial for free, let me know, because you've got a blooming good deal there. And the other player that I've looked at, which I might be barking up completely the wrong tree with this lad, but Bojan. I think Bojan will be an interesting one. I would say probably the best player who's still at Stoke, who got relegated. Perhaps Jack Butland as well, potentially. But again, he'd be quite cheap, and just someone to take a little bit of a risk on. He's not really a striker, but an attacking midfielder. And I just think that Bojan would potentially fit into the Chelsea style of play. He's a very good player. Pace isn't really on his side, but as a central attacking midfielder, he doesn't really need it. But his flair and off-the-ball stats, as well as his vision and technique, are absolutely fantastic, including his first touch. And he'd be a cheap sign, and someone I just thought, you know what, let's try and have a go with him at Chelsea. But apart from that, there isn't really too much to add. And Chelsea is a very good team to start with, because they've got a lot of ability. And Chelsea is a team that you can go, look, they've been very fluctuating in the last few years, particularly since 2011 and 2012. They've won the league, gone down to 10th, won the league, gone down to 5th. So it'd be interesting if A, you can get back into the Champions League, and B, deliver a bit of consistency back to Stamford Bridge. But that's going to be it for today's team guide, folks. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope I've given you enough information on what's been said. Of course, this isn't gospel, but just a few opinions from me and a few things you can do. But let me down in the comments if you disagree with anything I've said or want to make any pointers, because at the end of the day, anybody watching this video wants a few tips on Chelsea, and I'll be able to give you those tips, and as well as people down in the comments. So make sure to look down in the comments, and if there's a comment you like, make sure to give that one a like as well as this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, folks, for more FM19 videos, as well as other team guides for all the other teams in the Premier League. This will be one of the first team guides on the channel, but I'm sure in a few days, all the team guides will be out for all the teams in the Premier League. So it'll be well worth you guys going to have a look at those, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy those respective videos. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Share around to anyone who you really want to share it to. I really appreciate you guys watching and staying to this period. Thanks for sticking around, folks. I have been CIJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video of mine you watch, or in the next FM19 video which you watch. I hope you enjoyed regardless, folks, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.